Before we dive into this emotional story of love, loss, and second chances, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a heart-touching story like this one.
The moment Jin Kang opened the nursery door, he felt like the world stood still. The dim light of the early morning sun streamed through the half-closed blinds, casting soft gold rays across the room. His 6-month-old son, usually howling at this hour, lay peacefully cradled in the arms of the new nanny, a black woman, her back slightly arched, her blouse gently unbuttoned. She was breastfeeding his son. Jinwoo's jaw clenched, his mind racing. What the hell is this? Amaka's eyes shot up. She froze, her expression filled with horror, like a thief caught in the act. I can explain, she stammered, instinctively covering herself as she gently detached the baby. But Jinwoo didn't wait for explanations. He turned, slammed the door, and stormed down the hallway. Minji, he barked into his phone. Fire her. Immediately. Sir, his assistant's sleepy voice crackled through the line. That African maid. She's out. Get her out of my house now. He ended the call without another word, his heart pounding. His fists were trembling. Rage? Confusion? Disgust? He couldn't tell. He went into his private study, poured himself a glass of scotch even though it was barely 7 a.m., and sat down heavily. But no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't stop shaking. 6 months earlier, Jin Kang had never imagined himself a single father. His life had been cleanly structured. CEO of Seoul's largest luxury real estate firm, a penthouse overlooking the Han River, and a perfectly manicured wife from a wealthy family who looked good on magazine covers. But reality unraveled quickly. After the birth of their son, Jisoo, his wife Sookyung grew colder. She resented the baby, called him a burden, and refused to touch him. At 3 weeks postpartum, she packed her designer bags and flew to Paris for a fashion campaign. She never returned. All she left behind was a note on the dresser. I'm not meant to be a mother. Don't contact me. From then on, Jinwoo was alone, with a newborn he had no idea how to care for. He hired help, of course. Nannies, maids, nurses. At one point, he had 5 different women working rotating shifts. But nothing worked. Baby Jisoo cried day and night, often turning purple with exhaustion. He refused to eat unless it was from a bottle warmed exactly to body temperature, and he only slept when held, never in the crib. The house felt like a haunted mansion. A mansion full of money and misery. There was Ms. Yoon, the certified pediatric nurse. She lasted 3 days. There's something wrong with the child, she said as she quit. He doesn't respond to any normal soothing techniques. Then came Yoonji, a sweet college student. She cried more than the baby did. Another nanny tried to give Jisoo sleeping drops in desperation. She was fired instantly. And still, the baby cried. Cried and cried and cried. One night, Jinwoo stood in front of the crib, sleep-deprived and hollow-eyed, his son wailing at a pitch that sounded like grief. He whispered, "What do you want from me?" But there was no answer. It was Minji, his assistant, who suggested expanding their search. I know someone from a global domestic agency, he said cautiously. They have candidates from other countries. Some specialize in infants with separation trauma. Jinwoo raised a brow. From where? Nigeria, Minji replied. She just arrived in Seoul. Speaks English and basic Korean. Jinwoo hesitated. He'd never had a black person in his home. He wasn't racist. At least that's what he always told himself. But what would people say? Still, exhaustion and desperation pushed him over the edge. Fine, he muttered. 1 week trial. She arrived the next morning, wearing a plain long-sleeved blouse and black trousers. Her skin was dark and smooth, and her eyes had the warmth of someone who had seen deep pain, and survived it. Good morning, sir, she said gently, bowing slightly. Jinwoo barely looked at her. You'll be staying in the staff quarters. You are here for one job, make the child stop crying. If you can't do it in 1 week, you're gone. Clear? Yes, sir. He turned and walked off. That night, Jisoo began crying again. The staff had already given up. Jinwoo sat in his room, staring at the baby monitor, watching Amaka enter the nursery alone. She didn't panic. She didn't ask for help. She picked up the child, pressed him to her chest, and began to hum. A low, soft, almost mournful melody in a language Jinwoo didn't understand. And for the first time, the baby calmed. His tiny fingers curled around Amaka's shirt. He closed his eyes. And he slept. Jinwoo sat forward, stunned. "Who is this woman?" he whispered. Back to the present. But now he had caught her breastfeeding his son. It was too much. Until the image came back to him, Jisoo's peaceful face. How his lips suckled, his body relaxed, his chest rising and falling gently. Jinwoo shook his head violently, trying to push the thought away. "You're being manipulated," he told himself. "She's dangerous." But something inside him, something ancient, buried beneath years of boardrooms and business deals, whispered a different story. A memory. A woman's voice. A lullaby. Jinwoo didn't sleep that night. Every time he closed his eyes, the same image returned. Amaka, sitting in the nursery's rocking chair, breastfeeding his son like he was her own. It wasn't just the act, it was the intimacy, the quiet bond between them. And worse, the peace on Jisoo's face. That morning, Jinwoo called Minji again. "Did you fire her?" he asked sharply. There was hesitation. "Sir, with all due respect, I think you should speak to her first," she explained. "I didn't ask for her explanation." Jinwoo snapped. "She crossed the line. She's a stranger. And she saved your son's life, sir," Minji said softly. The pediatrician called back. He said the baby's weight has increased significantly in just 1 week. His heart rate, oxygen levels, all normal. First time since his birth. Jinwoo fell silent. The weight of that truth sank in, quietly but powerfully. Jisoo didn't cry that morning. Not once. By noon, he had eaten, burped, giggled, and fallen asleep in Amaka's arms again. She sat beside the window, rocking gently, humming the same tune that had worked like magic the night before. Jinwoo watched her from the hallway, behind the half-open door. He couldn't help himself. She wasn't what he had expected. No makeup, no polished manners, no elegant education. Just grace, the kind that couldn't be faked. He hated how fascinated he was becoming. Why can't I stop watching her? Instead of firing Amaka, Jinwoo took a different route. He monitored her. Closely. He had baby cams installed in every room. His tech assistant added a silent alert to his phone every time there was unusual sound, movement, or feeding activity. Amaka didn't know she was being watched. Over the next few days, Jinwoo kept his distance but watched obsessively. And the most shocking part? Jisoo never cried. But Jinwoo didn't trust easily. One afternoon, he called Amaka to his study. She arrived holding a baby monitor, her posture calm but guarded. Jinwoo leaned back in his chair, eyes cold. "Tell me the truth," he said. She blinked. "About what? Why did you breastfeed him?" There was a beat of silence. Her lips trembled just slightly, but she answered firmly. "Because he was starving," she said. "He had been vomiting formula all day. He was weak. I saw his lips trembling. I did what I had to do." "You're not his mother," Jinwoo growled. "I know that," she replied. "But right now, he needs one." The room fell into an icy silence. "Do you think this makes you special?" Jinwoo asked darkly. "That I'll suddenly trust you because my son's quiet?" "No," she said quietly. "I don't expect your trust. Just time." He was thrown off by her calmness. Time. The week wasn't over. And Jinwoo was still watching. He treated Amaka like an outsider. But Amaka didn't flinch. Whispers among staff. The other domestic staff began whispering. "I heard she sings in a witch language. Maybe she cursed the child to stop crying. She's feeding him her own blood. That's not normal." Jinwoo heard it all. At first, he agreed. Maybe it was unnatural. But deep down, he knew the truth. She wasn't dangerous. She was different. And Jisoo, his son, the only light left in his dark life, had chosen her. One night, Jinwoo stood outside the nursery, listening. Amaka was humming the lullaby again. Not in Korean. Not in English. A rhythmic, ancient-sounding tune. Her voice was low, raw, filled with emotion that didn't need translation. For the first time, Jinwoo greeted Amaka the next morning. "Good morning," he muttered. She looked at him in shock but replied, "Good morning, sir." And when she reached to take Jisoo, the baby's tiny hand stretched toward her, smiling. Jinwoo stood there awkwardly. Then, without planning it, he asked, "What's that song you sing?" She looked up, surprised. It's called Ninem Oma. It means, my good mother in Igbo. My grandmother used to sing it. He nodded once and turned away. But Amaka smiled, because it was the first time he asked something not out of suspicion, but curiosity. That night, Jinwoo's father called from the US. I heard from the board. There's talk you hired a foreign nanny. So? Jinwoo replied stiffly. She's black, isn't she? There was a pause. Yes. His father's voice tightened. Fire her. Now. Do not attach our name to scandal. Jinwoo hung up. But this time, he didn't obey. Jinwoo opened the nursery door slowly. Amaka was asleep in the rocking chair, baby Jizu resting on her chest. The lullaby was still humming from her lips, even in her dreams. Jinwoo didn't say a word. He just stood there, watching, and wondering, who are you, really? Jinwoo hadn't intended to go upstairs. It was 2:40 a.m., and he had just returned from a late investor dinner. He only meant to peek at the baby on the monitor before heading to bed. But when he saw the camera feed, his steps quickened. Amaka, again. Breastfeeding. This time, the baby wasn't just suckling, he was clutching her like a lifeline. His tiny fingers dug into her skin as if refusing to be separated. His breath was slow, deep, peaceful. Jinwoo's chest tightened. He opened the nursery door quietly, stepping inside. She didn't notice him at first. She was humming again, that lullaby. The same warm, haunting song. He stood there in silence, unsure of what he was feeling. But when Amaka finally opened her eyes and saw him, she froze. Their eyes locked. She immediately moved to cover herself and gently pulled Jizu off. I'm sorry, she whispered, voice shaking. But this time, Jinwoo didn't shout. He stepped forward, quietly, and sat on the armrest of the rocking chair. Tell me the truth, he said softly. Her lips parted. Sir. Why are you doing this? The feeding. The lullabies. Why do you care so much? Her eyes welled with tears. I didn't mean to overstep, she said. But I couldn't watch him suffer. No, Jinwoo said. That's not what I asked. I've seen maids, nannies, professionals. None of them stayed longer than 2 days. You held him like he was born from your own womb. Amaka inhaled slowly. And then, in that dim-lit nursery, holding a sleeping child who wasn't hers, she told him the truth. Amaka was 24 and in love. Or so she thought. She met Tochukwu, a tall, charismatic Nigerian man, in her final year of nursing school. He owned a transport business, showered her with gifts, and called her my queen. Within a few months, she was pregnant. She was scared, but happy. He was furious. You want to trap me? He shouted. I told you I'm not ready for this. He kicked her out of his apartment, cut off contact, and spread lies that she was unfaithful. Ashamed and homeless, Amaka moved to an old unpainted apartment in the outskirts of Lagos. The walls leaked, the roof cracked during rain. Still, she carried the child full term. A boy. Chukwuma. He came out crying and healthy, but the joy didn't last. There was no money for baby clothes or proper food. No heating. No breast pump. Amaka breastfed him, sang to him, wrapped him in towels. But 5 days after his birth, during a cold rainy night, he began to cough, then gasped. And the next morning, he was gone. Cold. Still. Silent. She screamed until her throat bled. Back in Seoul, present day. Tears slid down Amaka's cheeks as she spoke. I don't know why I'm still here. After he died, I wanted to go with him. But I couldn't. So I left Nigeria. I came here because I needed to forget. She sniffed, brushing away a tear. Then I met your son. The first night he cried, I thought it was my Chukwuma calling me. I couldn't bear it. I held him, and when he wouldn't eat, She paused, breath trembling. My body still makes milk. It just never stopped. I don't know why. She looked up, finally meeting Jinwoo's eyes. I'm not trying to replace anyone. But your son, he gave me a reason to breathe again. Jinwoo couldn't speak. He felt like something inside him, something cold and stone-like, was breaking. The next day, Jinwoo didn't speak a word about what she told him. But he did walk into the kitchen and tell the head maid, from now on, Amaka eats with the staff. Full access. He arranged a larger bedroom for her, with a heater and a private wardrobe space. He even ordered a custom rocking chair from Nigeria, without telling her. When it arrived, Amaka stood in shock. "Sir, You're staying," he said, then walked away. That evening, she sang the lullaby again, and Jinwoo found himself leaning against the nursery door, eyes closed, just listening. It didn't take long before whispers reached the public. A photo leaked online, Jinwoo leaving the house with Amaka carrying his son beside him. The headlines exploded. His board of directors called him. His father called him. His ex-wife called him. Soo-kyung, the woman who had left them, suddenly returned to Korea. She showed up uninvited at Jinwoo's office, acting surprised. "I heard my baby's doing better. I want to see him." Jinwoo folded his arms coldly. "You lost that right when you walked out." "But the public," she began. "You think I care what the public thinks now?" She narrowed her eyes. "You're risking everything for a black and dirty woman?" Jinwoo stood. "She's done more for him in 3 weeks than you did in 6 months. That night, his father flew in from Los Angeles. He stormed into the mansion unannounced. Jinwoo stood calmly in the foyer as his father shouted, "You want to ruin your name? Your company? For a woman like her?" "She's not just a woman," Jinwoo said quietly. "She's the one who gave my son peace." His father's voice hardened. "She's a servant. She's like a mother to him." "You will fire her by tomorrow," his father growled, "or I will strip you of every cent I gave you." But Jinwoo didn't flinch. He simply turned and walked away. The next morning, Amaka came downstairs with packed bags. "I heard your father last night," she said, eyes downcast. "It's okay. I understand. I was only ever meant to be temporary." Jinwoo stared at her, heart pounding. But he said nothing. He let her walk out the door. The mansion was no longer silent. It was echoing with screams. Baby Jisoo's cries pierced the air like sirens. Nothing worked. Not warm milk. Not the vibrating crib. Not the soothing app with lullabies. Not even Jinwoo's arms. He had rocked his son for hours, sweat clinging to his shirt, his heart racing with frustration. The baby writhed and kicked. He wanted her. Not milk. Not comfort. Not anyone else. Ha! Jinwoo stared at the ceiling, whispering through clenched teeth, "What have I done?" He had let her walk away. The past 24 hours had passed in a blur. Amaka had left with quiet dignity. Jinwoo had stood there, frozen, pride caging his tongue. His father had nodded with smug satisfaction. "You did the right thing." But now, hearing his son's desperate cries, Jinwoo knew the truth. He had made the worst mistake of his life. He no longer saw Amaka as just a nanny. He no longer saw her skin. He saw her soul. She had loved his son when no one else did. And she had awakened something inside him he thought was long dead. The next morning, Jinwoo gave Minji a single command. "Find her." It took hours, calling through agencies, tracking her registered ID address. By late afternoon, he stood in front of a worn apartment building on the far edge of Seoul. The building was small, modest, barely lit. He climbed to the second floor and knocked. No answer. He knocked again, louder. "Amaka, it's me, Jinwoo." He heard soft footsteps. The door opened a crack. Amaka appeared, wearing a scarf over her head, her eyes red, her voice low. "Why are you here?" He stepped closer. "Because I was wrong." She looked at him with weary eyes. "You said nothing when your father insulted me. You let me go." "I was scared," Jinwoo said. "Not of you, but of what you made me feel. I've been alone for so long, I forgot what it meant to trust someone." She turned her face slightly. "And now?" He took a breath. "My son screamed all night. Nothing calmed him. Nothing." "You didn't just feed him, you gave him peace." He stepped forward, voice trembling. "And not just him. You healed something in me too." Her breath caught. "I'm not asking you to be a nanny anymore," he said, lowering his voice. "I'm asking you to come home. Not to work, but to live." She stared at him, disbelieving. "You want me to be with you. I want you to be part of our lives. Permanently. If you'll have me." She hesitates. Tears welled up in her eyes. "You don't know what people will say." "I don't care what they say. Your father. I already told him to leave. And if he takes my money, fine. I'll build again, from scratch. But this time, with people who matter." Silence hung between them. Then Jinwoo dropped to one knee, not with a ring, but with a photo of her rocking his son to sleep. I don't have the right words. I don't even know what to promise. But I want to try. I want us to try. Together. Amaka broke into tears. And nodded. A week later, the media exploded again. Billionaire CEO confirms relationship with Nigerian nanny. She saved my family. Jinwoo didn't hide. He stood beside Amaka at a press conference, Jisoo in her arms, proudly. We come from two different worlds, he said. But she's the reason my son is alive. The reason I feel human again. They married in a quiet garden ceremony 6 months later. No designer gowns. No guest list of hundreds. Just a new family, sealed by a promise, and a lullaby. It's nighttime. Amaka sits in the nursery, now redecorated with soft golden lights and African art hanging beside Korean calligraphy. Jisoo rests on her chest, older now, heavier, smiling in his sleep. Jinwoo stands in the doorway, arms crossed, smiling. Amaka hums her song again. Nina Moma. My good mother. Jinwoo steps forward and gently hums with her, not in tune, but in harmony. The baby stirs, then sighs, and sleeps. And in the softest whisper, Jinwoo says, "Thank you for loving us back to life."